Hello there folks, Coach Jayci here with another home body sculpting and mobility video post, and I hope you're all doing well. Just briefly, I've been just posting these 7-minute videos and I haven't been asking for you to subscribe or to like, and I'm seeing people are actually viewing the videos but they're not subscribing. So please, if you want me to continue giving you these words of encouragement, your way of encouraging me back is to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I'll continue to post them. It really is encouraging for me. All right, now as a nutrition coach, my scope of practice is not to put anybody on a diet, right? Particularly a restrictive one. Now, I'm going to say this to anybody. Do not watch YouTube or anything on TV that tells you to go on a diet, right? The only person who should be putting you on a diet is your dietitian. Because the dietitian knows your medical history. They know your complications that you have. They know your allergies that you have. So they will understand what might go wrong. All right. So you don't go out and just put yourself on a diet based upon somebody who seems to have some kind of conviction in what they're saying. All right. However, what I can do is I can provide you with the information about different diets, understand the pros and cons of each diet, because there is no one size fits all. Trust me on that one. It's all about the type of lifestyle that you live and what you want to acquire from that diet. Okay. Now, before I guide you, I want to sort of give you a little bit of a foundation for making those decisions for yourself. Here, first, when I was a teenager, I remember some guy who sounded wise saying to me that in order for you to know where you're going, you need to know where you came from. Now, behind me, I have a fridge freezer, an invention and an amazing invention. But before we had fridge freezers for me to go and get food, how did we get our food and preserve it? There you go. So now you think about that. There were ways in which we preserved it through using preservatives, which in many cases can be unhealthy. And you've also got fermenting foods, which a lot of those foods are good for all the other things, but not necessarily providing energy. The food that provides energy, the way in which we preserved it was the body. The body was the ultimate preserver. So you give it energy, you wouldn't use all that energy up, so the body would then preserve it. Okay? If it's not used immediately, which is from the blood, it will be in the liver, expecting you to use it for the rest of the day. If you're not using it in the rest of the day, it will preserve it into adipose tissue, which is fat. And there you go. So it's just done that one day. The next day, guess what? You consume foods that are more than the amount of energy you're going to burn the next day. And that cycle repeats itself. And of course, we're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's preserving it, thinking that you are going to use that energy at some point. Yet you may have gone 10 years never ever using the preserved energy. Right. Now, there are 3 macronutrients, and we know them as carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Now, you're not going to use protein for energy. You're going to use the protein to replace tissues and enzymes. The rest of the protein, once it's done its job, it will just go out the system. All right. Okay. And then we've got fats. Fats used to be our main source of energy, and it would last quite a long period of time. So we've got now the diets that are out there, which are high fat diets or keto diet. And you'll find that they'll always talk a lot about going on a fast. Well, again, let's go back to how our ancestors were. They would eat the fat from the animal or from whatever plants. They'll eat those foods. And then, if they can't get access to the foods again the next day, the body will burn through the fat. So if you want to fast, it's best advised that you eat fat the day before. And you'll notice that you won't struggle as much as if you just ate carbohydrates. Now, I'm not saying you should eat pure fat, because we know what happens when you just eat pure fat and no fiber. You get constipated. So it's a good balance of that to help move it. But that I found, even myself, that sometimes I would eat fat. Eating fat is not that easy. It's easy to eat lots of carbohydrates. It's there everywhere. You see them in the aisles. If you want to go for lunch, Anywhere you'll find the sandwiches and the breads and the biscuits, but where can I eat fats? We're talking about olives, we're talking about avocados, we're talking about coconut, yogurts. Uh, that's not that easy to eat without consciously making that decision. So, yeah, you might find that you're always wanting to be hungry again because the immediate energy is carbohydrates. Now, carbohydrates is for if you're going to go out and burn that excess energy straight away. And if you've got simple carbohydrates, you might want to use it if you're doing explosive work. So if you're going to go to the gym and push a heavy weight or sprint, then carbohydrate is easy to access and it will utilize it. Which means if you are on a high fat diet, you're going to struggle if you're going to do those activities. So that's why we're going to make a decision based upon pros and cons. Right? I used to go on a keto diet, then I go to the gym, and I just felt sluggish. I just didn't have it. Whereas once I put carbs in my food, then I found access to it. But you must use it because if you don't use it, guess what? It turns into fat. Right? So there it is. It's as simple as that. Now the fridge freezer, and I'll use another analogy. Let's say that carbohydrate is the food in the fridge, which needs to be used, and the food in the freezer is the fat. Unless you burn through all the food in the fridge, you can't get access to that fat. And in order to do that, we can't just rely upon exercises. We can't just rely on our diet neither, because at some point you're still going to want to eat. But we have to look at our metabolism. Okay, our body needs to be burning those calories even when we are resting. And when we go to the gym, we work out, that is definitely not enough. It will make a difference, but not that much of a difference. What makes a difference is our lifestyle. And the problem is that we do not travel anymore. What we do is we transport ourselves. We sit down in a chair, and that transports us 6, 7, 8 miles a day, sometimes hundreds of miles a day. And it makes us think that, hey, maybe we are traveling, but we're not. To travel, you need to move these. And that's what it's designed for. And if you want to get your weight under control, don't worry about any extremes. Just start walking. And walk according to a need. Not because you want it to be a nice day today, I should go for a walk. I mean, walk to work, walk up the stairs, walk whenever you need to go anywhere. Walk if you want to go to the shops. You need to be walking and walking on a daily basis. Once you start to utilize those legs and stop depending so much on the car, and if you don't really want to walk, cycle. But we need to travel. We need to use those legs to get the metabolism going up. And that resting metabolism will go up so that when we rest, it's doing its job. Anyway, that's my advice. That's my guidance, because I always find I'm getting more and more clients coming to me and I know what the solution is. Just stop using the car. But that's a different video post. Thank you very much for your time. I've been with you now for about 12 minutes, but I'm just going to remind you guys, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, write some comments below. Even if you disagree with me, it's always about two ways encouraging each other so that we can move forward to feeling great, looking good, and enjoying moving. See you then.